What up? It's your boy Random Reese. Here's my review on Orange is the New Black. Last season, season finale. Yo, to be honest, this show surprised me. The final season definitely surprised me. It ended really well. The whole entire season was well done. With an ensemble cast like Orange is the New Black, you never know how things are going to end. If everybody's going to have a happy ending, if not, some people's going to have like sad endings. You never know how it's going to end, and that's why I love ensemble casts like The Wire, Game of Thrones. We'll speak on that later because Orange is the New Black ending. Season finale was way better than Game of Thrones, and it's just crazy how 6 years ago when they both were probably like in its infancy, like you would never think that. Like when Orange is the New Black came out, it was a comedy, it was funny, it wasn't as deep as it ended. It was a good show. I've watched it since day one. Binge watched every single season. Some seasons was better than others, but no season was really bad. Season one was funny. Season two was funny. Season three, it's when it started to get a little bit darker, a little bit deeper. And then season seven, we still got the funny elements there, but it was a more darker, deeper experience. They really went in and showed you some things about jail. They also touched on a lot of um, stuff in the news, like ICE, like the ICE situation. That shit just blew my mind. I knew some of the stuff that's going on. I'm not a big news person. I get most of my news from Twitter, Instagram. I'm not going to watch ABC News or watch news in the morning. It's just so sad and depressing for me. So I was trying to stick away from the news. But I knew some things. I knew some of the stuff that's going on with ICE. But watching this show, really put things into perspective, like how people getting separated from their families, how kids are having trials that that with kids at 7 and 8 years old, like they don't know what's going on, you know, and then families are getting separated, some getting sent back home, and they just sitting in these prisons. Let's call them what they are. They prisons because that's what they are. They camps, they're prisons, and they just sitting there with no hope and no end to what's going to happen until the day of. Like, okay, now it's your turn. You go to trial. Like, this shit is crazy. It's sad. Like, and the way they're getting treated. It's like, how can you work for the? I mean, how brainwashed are you if you're an ICE detainee? Like, if you work for ICE and you're an officer, it's just I don't know. I just couldn't. I have to quit my job. Like that's a job I couldn't do at all. Um, but going back to Orange is the New Black, like the character development, seeing characters like Daya go from a gullible newbie in the jail to a drug addict, ruthless, heartless criminal to season seven where she doesn't care. Like, she's fighting with her mom. She's killing people for she's killing people for clout, you know, running the drug game in there, like trying to get back at people, like, bring her sister along instead of teaching her sister, yo, this is what I did, stay out of it. Nah, fuck it. I need my money, I need my drugs. Yo, run me my drugs, you can make some money, you know? Like it's crazy how you would never think that's her character would develop into this type of art, you know? Or looking at a character like Tasty, who was silly and goofy with the start the show, go into a dark place, almost commit suicide because she's wrongfully convicted of murder. But then she started helping out other inmates and trying to teach them, getting their GEDs, try to set them up for success when they get out. Even though she probably won't ever get out of jail. She'll be in jail for life. So it's an amazing show, and just like I said, shows like this with so much character development and so much different stories, season after season, is really good and it's really refreshing. Like, I just, like I said, I would never expect this show to end like this. Like, as far as like Game of Thrones, there was so much hype, and I love the show to start with. Everyone died, anybody could die at any time, and then we reached a point where it's kind of like, okay, but you know that this person not going to die, this person not going to die, these people have to meet, so you kind of figure it out. And then the last season was so lackluster and so just thrown together. With Orange is the New Black, that was not the case. They took their time, they thought out the plots, they thought out the endings for people. Some people have good endings, some people had sad endings, we knew Piper was going to get out because it is based off of her true story, her book. So we knew she was going to get out. And she struggled. It's just funny. It's so ironic to see her, get out of jail and now she's adapting back to life, and she's the outsider now. When she was before, she was in the in crowd. Now she's the outsider because she went to jail. So now her character is kind of goofy, still kind of ending kind of goofy and silly. Some of the stuff she does is not really like super polished. It's like she's still kind of like the goofy person, no matter where she was. Her character arc up and down. So that's one of my least favorite characters, even though she was mostly the main character, but she's probably one of my least favorite characters. Some of her storylines, even though it was necessary, I was kind of like, man, get on with her shit. Let me go see the next person because I ain't want to see her. Let me see someone else. Let me see the next person. So a lot of sad stuff. The one girl OD'd purposely because she thought she failed the GED, but then it turned out that she passed. And it's just crazy how some of these COs they do things not knowing the effects it's going to have on the prisoners. So, like I said, it touched on a lot of stuff, the bureaucracy on the jail system, how jails make money. You know, just crazy that you don't even think that's a place to make money. That you should be putting that money back into the inmates. Trying to get them rehabilitated and ready to get out for the next world, but they don't care. They just want to make money, make a dollar off everybody. So talking that's one of the biggest keys I got from the show as well. So yeah, they touched on a lot of different things. So it's a real good show. Like people think it's silly. It's about a women about and it's all women ensemble and they're in jail and it's silly. But when you start to really watch the show, you start to look at it like they talk about a lot of different stuff. With the Pusey Washington character, that was kind of like the Eric Garner I Can't Breathe incident when she died. You know, so many different storylines, so many different relevant storylines talking about stuff in the media, the current events to this day. Like, man, it's one show I'm gonna probably go back and watch again, and just you can watch it in so many different levels. This show, it's the type of show that you can watch 10. I mean, regrettably, you're gonna go back and watch this show 10, 15, 20 years from now and be like, we going through the same problems. It's like it shows I'm looking at like 10, 20 years back in the 90s, and just like, damn, we got these same problems, and it's like a lot of these problems still not going anywhere, still not going anywhere. So we need to wake up somehow and try to fix some of these problems in our society and and make a change. So that way, when you look back on it, it's like, damn, I can't believe this is how the world used to be, you know? So if you haven't checked it out before, check it out now. Like I said, if you never checked it out, I just spoiled a lot of shit for you. But Orange is the New Black is definitely a must-watch TV show. It's probably one of the best shows Netflix put together from beginning to end that didn't get cut. They had 7 seasons and they actually had an ending. It wasn't canceled. It just came to an end, and a well done end. So a round of applause to all the actors on the show, all the writers, producers. Y'all did a hell of a job. It's one of my favorite shows. It's definitely one of my top 10 shows of all time. And I'm out. Boy, Random Reese. Hit like, subscribe. You never know what I'm going to talk about. It could be sports, it could be politics, it could be pop culture, TV shows, movies. I can talk about anything. I don't know. Whatever's on my mind at the time, I'm just going to talk about it.